this video, we want to learn about the reference angle. What's the reference angle? A reference angle is it's an acute angle, which means acute angle means an angle between 0 and 90 degrees, which is positive, and it's always between the terminal side of your angle and the x-axis. So imagine there is an angle in second quadrant like this one. That's angle theta. To find the reference angle, I need to find an angle between the terminal side and the x-axis. So that's the reference angle. For example, if this angle is 120, the reference angle is 60 degrees because altogether gives you 180. If I have an angle in the third quadrant like this one, find the reference angle, I need to find an angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, which is this angle. And this angle, for example, if the angle theta is 210, so the reference angle is 30 degrees because 210 is 30 more than 180. And if you have an angle in the fourth quadrant, like this one, for example, you have a 300-degree angle. To find the reference angle, again, you need to find an angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, and this angle is 60 degrees. So to find the reference angle, we always look at the terminal side and the x-axis. That's why I highlighted for you. And don't forget that the reference angle is always a positive angle, and it's always an angle less than 90 degrees, like 30, 60, 45, or 15, or 20, or 55. It's not more than 90 degrees. If it's more than 90 degrees, that means something is wrong. And to find the reference angle, sometimes you need to subtract an angle from 180 if it's in the second quadrant. Sometimes you need to subtract 180 from your angle if your angle is in the third quadrant. And sometimes you need to subtract your angle from 360 if your angle is in the fourth quadrant. So I prefer, instead of just remembering all of these formulas, 180 minus theta or theta minus 180, I prefer to always graph a picture for myself and see where the angle is, which quadrant my angle is, and based on the picture, find my reference angle. Let's look at next example. It's asking you to find the reference angle for each of these angles. First angle is 210. 210 is an angle in the third quadrant. So the reference angle is between the terminal side and the x-axis. So that's this one. You know, this part is 180. So 210 has 30 more than, so the reference angle is 30 degrees. So in this case, you need to subtract 180 from 210 and you get 30 degrees. So the reference angle for this one is 30 degrees. But if the angle is given in radian, like 7 pi over 4, instead of 180, you can put pi. Instead of 360, you can put 2 pi. Because when the angle is given to you in radian, you need to subtract a radian measure as well, or add a radian measure. But first, we need to know where the angle is. Where is 7 pi over 4? 7 pi over 4, since we have dividing by 4, I can divide each quarter into 2 parts. And now I have pi over 4. That means from 0 to 180 is divided into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I need 7 pi over 4. That's 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi, 5 pi, 6 pi, and 7 pi. That's 7 pi over 4. And if you want to, that is your angle. And if you want to find the reference angle, you need to look at the terminal side and the x-axis, which is this one. And this angle is pi over 4 as well. So this time you need to subtract 7 pi over 4 from 360, which is 2 pi. So if you subtract 7 pi over 4 from 2 pi and find the common denominator, you get pi over 4. Even if you don't show the calculation, by looking at the picture, you can find the reference angle, which is pi over 4. For the next example, we have negative 240 degree angle. Negative 240, since it's a negative angle, we need to go in negative direction, which is clockwise direction. 240 means in quadrant 3. So first, second, and third quadrant, which is somewhere over here. That's negative 240. And to find the reference angle, I need this angle, because the reference angle is always an angle between the terminal side and the x-axis. And this angle is, how much 240 is more than 180? It's just 60 degrees. So the reference angle is 60 degrees. Even if your angle is negative, remember that the reference angle must be in positive form. Next example says data is 3.6. Since I don't see any degree notation, that means this angle is in radian. You need to find this angle in radian and show it on the unit, on the coordinate plane or on the unit circle. So let's find this angle. Where is 3.6 radian angle? So you know that, first of all, it's positive, so I have to go counterclockwise. And you know that this point is pi, and pi is 3.14 in radian. If your angle is 3.6, which means it's a little more than 3.14, so that means your angle is in the third quadrant. And if you want to find the reference angle is this angle between the x-axis and the terminal side. Now the question is, how much is the reference angle? I know that this point is 3.14, this point is 3.6, and if I subtract these 2 points, subtract 3.14 from 3.6, I get 0.46. So that means the reference angle is 0.46 radian. So this slide tells us how we can find reference angle if angles are greater than 360 degrees or are negatives. So if you have an angle greater than 360 or you have a negative angle, first you need to find the coterminal angle. Coterminal angle to that angle means find an angle which has the same initial and terminal side with your angle. And after finding the coterminal angle, you need to show the coterminal angle in a standard position and then find the reference angle for that coterminal angle. For example, if I have a 665 degree angle, let me show you where E is actually 665 degree angle. So you know that one rotation is just 365. If I subtract 365, it tells me how much more than one rotation I need to go, which is 300. Okay. Oh, sorry, 360. 305. So I need to go 305 degree more than, in the second rotation actually. And 305 is somewhere over here. This is my angle. Now I need to find a coterminal angle. Coterminal angle are the angles that have the same initial and the same terminal side. This can be a coterminal angle. And how much is this angle? So this your angle is 305. So how much is less than 360? Which is 55 degrees. That is your coterminal angle. If your coterminal angle is less than 90 degrees, and it's an angle between the x-axis and the terminal side, that means that's exactly your reference angle. But if the coterminal angle is greater than 90 degrees, you need to find the reference angle for that angle. Right now, the answer is 55 degrees. 55 degrees is the coterminal angle, which is also my reference angle. That's an answer for the first one. Now let's look at the second angle, 15 pi over 4. I know that one full rotation is 2 pi. And 2 pi, that's exactly 8 pi over 4. My angle is 15 pi over 4. That means my angle is more than one rotation. It's on the second rotation. And how much is more than one rotation is it has 7 pi over 4 more, more than the 2 pi. So after first rotation, I need to show 7 pi over 4. If that's each of these lines give me pi over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this angle is 15 pi over 4. Now if I want to find the coterminal angle, the coterminal angle is an angle that has the same initial and same terminal with this angle, which is negative, you can say actually negative pi over 4. Negative pi over 4 is the coterminal angle. Now we need to find the reference angle for this angle. But since this angle is less than 90 degrees, that can be my reference angle as well. So my reference angle, it's positive pi over 4. You never put a negative for reference angle. Coterminal angle can be negative because we are in the clockwise direction. We can say the coterminal angle is negative pi over 4. But when you are talking about the reference angle, make sure to just call it in positive form. And I think I messed up here because negative 55 is my coterminal, but the reference angle is positive 55 degrees. Next one is negative 11 pi over 3. So if I want to show negative 11 pi over 3, first I need to go in negative direction, which is clockwise direction. And I know that the 2 pi or one full rotation is 6 pi over 3. If it's negative 6 pi over 3. But I need to have 5 pi over 3 after that. So this angle, it passes the first rotation, and 5 pi over 3 after the first rotation, which is somewhere over here, I believe. This is negative 11 pi over 3. Now I need to find the coterminal angle, which is this angle. And this angle is exactly pi over 3. Since the pi over 3 or my coterminal angle is less than 90 degrees, and it can be my reference angle as well. So my reference angle is positive pi over 3. So why do we have to know about the reference angle? Because we learned in previous sections that how we can find the sine, cosine, tangent, and all other trigonometric functions for 30, 60, and 45-degree angles. Now, if we know how to find reference angle, we can find the trigonometric function for any other angle as well. For example, if I ask you what's the sine of 120, it's not on the table, but you know that you can find the reference angle for 120, and the reference angle for 120 is 60 degree. And what is important in this case is that every function for my angle is the same as the same value as the reference angle. For example, if you have a 120-degree angle, you say the reference angle is 60 degrees, but you know that the sine of 120, that's exactly the same as the sine of 60. All functions for my angle, that's the same as the same function for the reference angle. The cosine of 120, it's exactly the same as the cosine of 60. And you have a table for 30, 60, 45, or you at least memorize that. And by using those angles as a reference angle, you can find the trigonometric functions of other angles as well. And you know that the tangent of 120, that should be the same as the tangent of 60, because 60 degree is the reference angle for 120. But something that's very important, we know about the sine as well, if it's a positive or negative. And that depends on where the angle is, which quadrant the angle is. If 120 is an angle in the second quadrant, and you know that in the second quadrant the sine is positive, so we should keep it positive. And you know that the cosine in the second quadrant is negative, so if we say the cosine of 120, that's the same as the cosine of 60 in values, but the sign is different, the sign must be negative. We know that in the second quadrant, the tangent is negative. So which means that the tangent of 120 has the same value as the tangent of 60, but in negative. So when you are using reference angle, make sure after finding the reference angle, find the sign, if it's a positive or negative. And that all depends on where the angle is, which quadrant the angle is. For example, it says use reference angle to find the values of sine of 300 degree. Okay, first I need to find the reference angle, and 300-degree angle is an angle in the fourth quadrant. That's 300 degree. And the reference angle is an angle between the x-axis and the terminal side, which is 60-degree angle. So the reference angle for 300 degree is 60 degree. After finding the reference angle, I know that the sine of 300 must be the same as the sine of 60 degree, but now I need to check about the sine. 300-degree angle is an angle in the fourth quadrant. And in the fourth quadrant, I know that the sine must be negative because y value is negative. So even if you say the sine of 300 is the same as the sine of 60, but still you need to keep a negative. So you say it's the same as the negative sine of 60 degree. And you know, you have the information about the 60 degree, you know the sine of 60 degree is root 3 over 2. So the answer for sine of 300 is negative root 3 over 2. This is how we use reference angle to find other angles. So that's why I told you don't have to memorize all of the angles. If you know 30 degree, 60 degree, and 45 degree, you can find a lot of other angles as well. For example, you want to use a reference angle to find the exact value of the tangent of 5 pi over 4. Okay, 5 pi over 4. First, we need to find the reference angle. So the reference angle, if I divide each quarter by 2, now I have divided by 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pi over 4. That's my angle. And the reference angle must be between the terminal side and the x-axis, which is this angle, and this angle is exactly pi over 4. So I can say the tangent of 5 pi over 4, that's exactly the same as the tangent of pi over 4. Now I just need to check the sign if it's positive or negative. Since the angle is in the third quadrant, and the third quadrant, this tangent is positive, so the answer must be positive. And I know that the tangent of pi over 4 or 45 degree is just 1. So the answer is positive 1. Part B. I want to find the secant of negative pi over 6. Okay, let's find the reference angle and then check the sign. So negative pi over 6, it's in the negative direction, and so pi over, it's something like this. So that's negative pi over 6. So if I want to find the reference angle, I can add it by 360 or 2 pi, or I can just by looking at the picture find the angle which is between the x-axis and the terminal side, and it's the same as this angle, which is pi over 6. So the reference angle is pi over 6, which means the secant of negative pi over 6, that should be the same as the secant of pi over 6. But is it positive or negative? The angle is in the fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant, what is secant in the fourth quadrant? Is it positive or negative? The sign of secant, it depends on the sign of cosine, because secant is the reciprocal for the cosine. Cosine in the fourth quadrant is positive, which means the secant must be also positive. So the answer must be in positive form. And what is the secant of pi over 6? That's exactly 1 over cosine of pi over 6. Pi over 6 means 30-degree angle, and the cosine of 30-degree angle is root 3 over 2. And if you flip this one, it gives you 2 over root 3. And 2 over root 3 needs to be rationalized. So the final answer is 2 root 3 over 3. And the next example, we want to find the cosine of 225. 225 is an angle in the third quadrant. I need to find the reference angle, which is an angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, and this angle. And since 225 is 45 degree more than 180, the reference angle is 45 degree, which means the cosine of 225 must be the same as the cosine of 45 degree. And I know that the cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. Now I need to check the sign. The angle 225 is in the third quadrant. Third quadrant, the cosine is negative, so the answer must be negative.